Yeah. Get you guys locked in. Maybe. How is everybody tonight? What a day. What a day. Been busy. Busy. So, MT Knives Live, Tuesday night. I'm going to kind of do a, if you watched the video already, I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a rerun. So, bear with me. Just got back from the Blade Show, whatever day that was. Monday in the wee hours of the morning. And trying to get back in the swing of things. I got back a little after 2 in the morning. Monday morning, slept in. Woke up, felt good, decided to go for a run. Got the car unpacked and everything, and then I didn't sleep real great last night. I was up. What is today? Today's Tuesday. Yeah. I don't even know what day it is. Anyhow, trying to get. I'm gonna go to bed early tonight. I did pretty good at Blade Show. I thought maybe, a lot of times you go to these events and you don't sleep well and they're long and yada yada and they're exhausting. But I actually slept pretty well every night except for the last night, except for Sunday night. I went for a run while I was in Atlanta. That was kind of neat. There's a nice little trail, not too far, on the Chattahoochee River. So ran down to the trail, ran a little while I was there. But then you get enough steps in at the Blade Show. I think one day I got over 20,000 steps, which, to some people is not a ton. I know people that get a lot of steps, but that's quite a bit of walking. So anyhow, yeah. So if you watched my video, you already know this Blade Show was my first. It was much fun. We'll be back next year for sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, good seeing you there. And they are a lot of fun. It's one of a kind. It's changed over the years. This year, actually, I feel like the attendance wasn't what it has been. And definitely not as many tables or vendors. I don't know now how long I've been going to the Blade Show. I don't remember the first Blade Show I went to. I know I went in 2018. So that's almost, 8 years ago? I don't know if that was my first Blade Show or not, but I know for sure that I went in 2018. And the overall show has changed, it's just changed over the years. I don't remember if that was the year I went. They had a lot of the Alone cast there. And then also Forged in Fire. I think Forged in Fire, hadn't come out yet, but I met Doug Marcaida. I think that's the year I met Doug Marcaida. And he's like, you should apply to go on Forged in Fire. And I really considered it. However, I was kind of up in the air about whether or not, I don't know. And then I watched one guy say, and I thought it made a lot of sense. He's like, if you're a nobody, if you don't have much of a following or a reputation, you got a lot to gain and not a lot to lose. If you have a good following and a good name, you've got a lot to lose and not a lot to gain. And I really think that that is a very good way to sum it up because, you know, um, it's kind of funny walking around to the different tables. All the people have been on Forge and Fire, not all of them, but a lot of people have been on Forge and Fire. They market that, I was in season whatever of Forge and Fire. And, you know, I kind of made the comment, it's like, who hasn't been on Forge and Fire? And I guess that'd be me. But it ran for so many seasons. And, the thing about reality TV is it's not reality. And the thing about like any of those like shows, um, because somebody wins or doesn't win, it doesn't mean a whole lot. They are a production for entertainment, and that's what. But the thing is people don't realize that, or people, even if you do realize it, subconsciously, you're creating opinions about people, and it's the reason people market it, right? Like subconsciously, like, hey, he was on Forge and Fire. That's a talking point. It's part of the story. It's a, you know, the there's a lot of talk about how, if you want to sell stuff, you need a good story, and so I mean, that's a good story. This person I bought this knife from, he was on Forged and Fire. And it's like, well, did he win it? And then like even that, like, did he win it is saying, um, is giving some sort of validity or credence to the show being a competition and, whether or not a person is a good maker, right? But in actuality, uh, I think there was a lot. It would kill me. Let me see what I said. I think it would kill me how many people couldn't start a coal forge. Yeah, yeah. I didn't watch too many seasons of Forge and Fire. I watched it. I watched I think the first season, and pretty quickly I got disenchanted with it. Now, I think I'm pretty sure it was at the 2018 Blade Show where a lot of the Alone participants were there, and they took a photo on that one stair case that goes by the escalators. They had that staircase almost full of contestants from Alone, and took a photo. And I had never watched Alone because I'm pretty slow to the party on a lot of things. Like, I don't watch something just because everybody else is watching it. And I kind of regret it later not knowing who's who. Um, because not Zach Fowler, one of the guys, there was a contestant or two after I watched Alone years later. There's a contestant or two I really would have liked to have talked to and said hi to and got to know, made that connection. And, it's kind of funny. Blade Show is something, or I mean, probably a lot of things are like this, where if you don't do your research, yeah, Sam, that's who I was thinking of. If you don't do your research, there's so much going on, you don't really know where to focus your attention to. And there's been plenty of Blade shows that I've gone to that after the fact I see some footage or whatever, I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have, seen that or done this. One thing, it's kind of funny because I don't think I've ever really sat down and watched the Blade Sports competition at the Blade Show. I've seen like little, just walking by and seeing part of it, but I have a knife from Donovan Phillips, Big D knives, and uh, a little bit part of that was I think I bought that from him the year he won the Blade Sports, or he yeah, he's a big dude, and he is very good at the Blade Sports. I don't think he does it anymore, but so I mean, there's just so much going on at the Blade Show that if you don't really know what's going on, it's hard to um decide what you want to see. And it's easy to, after the fact, to see like recaps and be like, man, I wish I would have took time to see that. So they got the Blade Sports competition that goes on. They've got the Balisong, people flipping knives, and I walk through and I see people practicing, and I've seen like walk through and seen clips of it, but it's not really. I think it's a neat thing. It'd be very interesting to watch, but I've never really sat down and watched that either. Um, I was going to watch Alex from Outdoor 55. He did a sharpening demonstration at the Work Sharp booth on Saturday. And I was fully intending on watching that, but about 12 o'clock, I was just tired, and I went back to the room and to the hotel room, and I was like, do I basically got to leave here pretty shortly to go see that. And I was like, you know what? I skipped it. So I skipped that. But part of the reason I skipped that is because I met with Alex before the show and had talked to him about wanting to sit down with him and record some footage and talk about sharpening. And he agreed to. And I said, whatever time works best for you. And so he had suggested that we do it on Sunday. And I was like, that sounds great. So I was like, well, I'll have the opportunity to talk to him one-on-one and not, whatever. So anyways, that's what I did. So Sunday morning, we met in the pit, and we sat down for about an hour and sharpened knives and talked about sharpening, and just kind of went back and forth talking about different things. And it was a good time. I recorded some. It's probably not going to be the best audio because I wasn't mic'd up for it, but I watched some of the footage and it sounds okay. So I'm glad that the audio came in good enough that it's going to be usable. But so yeah, what else? Oh, Peter McKinnon, I got a picture with him. It's always, I was telling Kyle, like, I don't take a lot of selfies with people or pictures with people because, one, I don't really like to inconvenience somebody. And two, a lot of times I just forget about it because it's, it's kind of an awkward thing to be like, and it happens all the time at the Blade Show, but it's kind of an awkward thing to be like, hey, can I get my picture with you? And anyways, if you don't know who Peter McKinnon is, he's got a pretty big YouTube channel. He's a photographer and does a lot of photography. And then he's got he kind of does, he has his own knives that are produced like by different companies, whether I think one is Civivi and a lot of these Chinese companies. So he sells some knives, and it's kind of funny because I didn't know who he was 3 or 4 years ago. But I remembered a couple of years ago, there was a big pirate ship at the Blade Show. Not huge, but it was like, I believe it was like a booth size, maybe a double booth size. And it was all decked out like a pirate ship, and it was kind of neat. Little did I know it was his kind of company or whatever. And this year, they had it was like a skull, like a carved skull out of like foam, and had his knives inside there. It's kind of funny because even the pirate ship, I thought like when the pirate ship booth, it's interesting and neat, and there was things in there, but it wasn't real clear on like, hey, how do you buy this stuff? Like there wasn't somebody like waiting in there to say, hey, can I show you this, or if you want one of these, I can sell it to you. And it's kind of interesting because they'd probably sell a lot more stuff if somebody was like manning the booth, and maybe I don't know, maybe somebody was and I just wasn't there at the time that somebody was. But anyways, so that was a neat meeting him. I didn't really talk to him a whole lot, just a little bit. And yeah, that's so many of those people already have their time spoken for. These companies are entertaining them and taking them out to dinner and doing different, like there's all these other things happening at Blade Show that, you really wouldn't know until you like have seen. I went to I wasn't like directly invited, but I was invited because of Kyle. And I went last year and I went this year. And basically somebody who had an Airbnb, several different companies like got together and had dinner at this Airbnb and just kind of talked and stuff. And one of them was another big YouTuber. Sorry, somebody's having fun. So the name's Mike Terrell Knives, I believe. He's got over 300, close to 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. And it's kind of funny because he was there last year. I talked to him a little bit, didn't really know who he was. Talked to him a little more this year. And it's kind of interesting just the people you meet and the things you learn. There's probably a never-ending. There's never-ending things that you can watch or learn on YouTube. We're gonna go back by, obviously. Let's see, what else was I gonna say? So I watch quite a bit of YouTube. Not a ton, but it's if we're gonna watch something, it's probably gonna be on YouTube. Like, so there's a lot of creators on YouTube that I like to watch, and it kind of changes over time, goes in spurts. Casey Neistat, I started watching years ago, and just all sorts of. It's crazy how many large YouTube channels there are, and yeah, there's just a plethora of content one could be watching. So I am going to check out his channel sometime when I have extra time. He does some really nice work. He had a dagger that he had forged in Damascus and all sorts of stuff. But it's funny because I was talking to another friend who watches his channel, and he said he makes knives as well, and he said it's almost like he almost stopped watching them because it almost is at some point you start doing so advanced stuff that it's not as relatable to people, and so almost more relatable to be a mediocre or average at whatever skill. And that's the kind of interesting thing on as far as YouTube goes is sometimes people don't really want to see the over the top content. They more want to see the down to earth, more common stuff. So anyhow, other YouTube creators that were there was Walter Soros, which I've known of him, watched some of his stuff for many years. I've talked to him over the years at Blade Show a little bit here and there. He had some products that I was interested in, which is kind of funny. One of them is called the Brick or the Block or something like that, and it's a grinding block to bevel your edges. And I kind of thought it'd be interesting to see and use. So I went by his booth and I picked it up and I was like, oh, yeah, no, it's not what I thought. It's pretty heavy. It's, I believe it's probably steel and Cerakote and all that. And it's not really cheap. And it wasn't going to work the way that I thought it was. I thought maybe the block was machined out of aluminum, in which case it would be lighter and easier to, I freehand grind most stuff, but I thought if you had your knife clamped to it or whatever, and it was aluminum, it'd be easy just to pick up and dunk. If it got, your blade got hot, you could cool it off in a bucket of water. This brick was not going to be, I mean, you could do it, but then if the Cerakoting chips off or wears off, then there's going to be a chance of rust since it's steel and it's heavy and kind of bigger than I anticipated. And then he's got another, he had another grinding jig that he had made. And one thing I find interesting about knife making is the sell of tools for knife makers is a lot of knife makers are pretty resourceful in the fact, like, in the past, most knife makers made their own tools because there's not a big market for, or there wasn't a big market for knife making tools. However, there's been quite a few people who make tools for knife makers that have done quite well selling tools for knife makers. And it's kind of funny to me because there's a lot of things that I wouldn't buy. I just make something myself. So it's interesting just to see the things that people will buy. And yeah, I mean, even something like kind of silly, like these leather strops, basically piece of leather on an aluminum plate. I've made several strops myself, just a piece of wood with a piece of leather on it. I've got another one here, got another one here, and it's easier to make something like that yourself. And I, for what I want for a strop, I want something that's fairly long. These are extremely short. And then, a person could even use a thin piece of wood. So anyways, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting what people will buy and what they decide to go ahead and just make themselves. So overall, good blade show. Always enjoy seeing friends and customers and meeting new people. If you didn't see my video, I picked up some mammoth tusk and some more mammoth tusk. I didn't buy much because really I shouldn't have bought probably what I did. But I was able to get in before the show opens and go to my suppliers who I've known for a while. And a lot of times they hold stuff back. And so you can kind of go, or I can, some people kind of go and be like, hey, what don't you have out on the table? Let me see it. They may or may not show it to you. Actually, matter of fact, this may or may not have been kept back under the table and not divulged to a buyer that showed up before me. So it's yeah, it's fun. So anyways, got any questions? It's about 7:30. Hey, there we go. Don't swipe up. It will close the screen. See if I have any more comments. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, what else did I get? Oh, I got some stropping compound. And this here, I might go over this a little bit. Let's see what that. Howdy. Hey, Sam and Annie. So this I got. Oh, you know what? That reminds me of an email I need to reply to. The fun of catching up to emails when you get back in town. Maybe I should use the orange ones. So these are little beads. And the way they work is the eyelets on these sheaths and these beads here. These beads are made, I just did that. They fit. They should fit. There we go. They kind of fit right over the eyelet so that they don't wiggle around. Hey, my husband and son love knives. Checking out your channel. Hey, thanks for coming. So this is what they call shock cord. It's basically like an elastic cord. And there's different sizes of it. Here's some kind of thicker cord. And what you do is you get a loop of it, however much you need, and you tie a knot. Tie a knot, said knot. Go ahead and put a double. I probably could have just done a single. We'll do a single. Like an overhand knot. And then, I might be messing this up, we'll see. Your cord can go through here, doubled up. And then say like go through your sheath. So there it's like pulled up tight on the bead, not gonna move. And then if I was gonna say this was my belt or pack strap or something, you go around it, go through your other eyelet, actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and put it on this strap for now. So let's say we're gonna put it on this strap because I might have to. Oh, that's gonna work. All right, there we go. So there we go. So say this strap was your belt. You can go around your belt or whatever and have that elastic, and it just clips around the bead, sits in that groove. And then you could use one or two of these and get it wherever you want it. And you could get creative with it, right? And this is just one way. There's a whole instruction sheet on different ways to utilize these beads. But let's see if you guys can see that. So it's got several different ways to utilize them. And what I don't, so there's all sorts of like Tech-Lock and Utility-Clip and all these different things. And some of them work with, you know, you got to have the correct hole spacing, and then all these things you got to have in order for a lot of these things to work. But what I like about this is very versatile. There's many ways it could be used. And of course, you're probably going to have to dial it in, like depending on how loose this is going to depend on like how short, how tight you rigged it up. But all in all, I thought this was a pretty clever way of carrying a knife other than neck carry. And honestly, one could not, you know, like you wouldn't necessarily need these beads. You could use a regular button or something other than these beads, but these beads were designed for this, and I think that they're going to work pretty good. Enough that I bought some to offer on the site to test and play around with, because I get people all the time asking me like, hey, you know, I don't really want to carry a neck knife. Do you have any way to attach it to a belt or do this kind of carry or that kind of carry? And so in the past, I've tried different Utility-Clips or things, and you know, for the right application, those other things are going to be good. But I think this is going to take the cake, honestly. So yeah, have to get that knot out of there. But shock cord, I've never personally purchased shock cord. I'm probably going to go on Amazon and see about getting some more. When I do a review of this, I'll have links for getting stuff. This is a lot. This thicker stuff is way probably better. Although I really like not bulky and lightweight and, you know, minimalist. This is going to need to be tight for sure. So anyways, we'll get this figured out. A little review of that. Maybe what I need to do is I need to go ahead and set one up for belt carry and then start carrying, because for the longest time, okay, Huntsville. For the longest time, I always carried two knives. I carried my neck knife, and I, you know, would have a Leatherman or I'd have a pocket knife. Anymore, a lot of times I just have a neck knife on, and I definitely want to start carrying two knives, because two is one is none, like they say. The thing is the reason I like to carry two knives is because there's always those tasks that are going to dull your knife or is going to get your knife dirty. Like today, I was going to cut some of this double stick tape, and I did not want to use my freshly sharpened knife to cut it, and so I borrowed my son's. But anyways, if I carry two knives, I would use one for the dirty work. Anyhow, that's it. You guys have any questions, comments, concerns? I'm sure you have concerns now. Got some chat going. Huntsville. Is that Arkansas? My first thought was Huntsville, Alabama. So, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate the support. If you would, hit the like button, and sweet. I can't, my eyeballs don't work that good. I think your name's Julie. If not, I'm sorry. Thank you guys for watching. If you would, hit the like button, give a share, share it with somebody you think that would enjoy this content. And we'll see you next week. Thank you very much. This is Patrick with MT Knives. Stay sharp.